To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing on the agenda is to review the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions this evening?
Yes, we have Alderman Kreitz and old business for an update reference to last meeting.
Okay. And then next is to approve the minutes for the last meeting, October 19th. If you would not mind reviewing the agenda. Entertaining public comment. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes for October 19th meeting.
Don't you have to read those minutes?
We are adding Denise Marshall, Brenda Crosby, and Jaren Holder.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the additions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And now we will go into the bill, reviewing the bill. Oh.
Yep.
Okay, so then we will go into the last meeting, the minutes from our last meeting. Are there any questions about those? And then entertain a motion to approve the minutes for our last meeting.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Point of order again, don't you have to read those minutes in order to approve that? Even Cindy Hemmer did that when she was city clerk.
What do you mean read the minutes?
In order to understand what's going on with the last meeting for people in the public that weren't attending, and also so there aren't any discrepancies in what happened, minutes are read before they're approved.
You mean read out loud?
Yes, sir.
That is not
All right.
Now we move forward with the bill and review our bill. Does anybody have any questions about our bill? Entertain. Nope. We'll go straight into financial review. Anybody have any questions about our financials? Do you have any questions concerning the financials? I will entertain a motion to approve our financials for this month.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So now we'll go into old business, and we will talk, go over our ordinances amending chapter 131, section 131.035, possession of weapons, certain prohibitions. It is the ordinance on unlawful use of weapons.
So, I believe this ordinance, we have, completely emulated state statute.
That's correct.
Which I believe that's, I know what everybody agreed, they, to go with state statute, so I'll entertain a motion first title reading, by title only.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Rozalski,
Aye.
Alderman Kreitz,
Aye.
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
and Alderman Keck.
Aye.
Ms. Eaton, would you mind reading the title on this, please?
An ordinance amending section 131.035 of the city's municipal code of ordinance pertaining to unlawful use of weapons.
And I will entertain a motion to.
I'll make a motion for second reading.
Second,
Second reading by title only.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Kreitz,
Aye.
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
Alderman Keck,
Aye.
and Alderman Rozalski.
Aye.
Ms. Eaton, would you please read by title only?
An ordinance amending section 131.035 of the city's municipal code of ordinances pertaining to unlawful use of weapons.
Now I will entertain a motion to approve this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
Alderman Keck,
Aye.
Alderman Rozalski,
Aye.
and Alderman Kreitz.
Aye.
Ordinance has been passed. We will get into ordinance 52.09, section B pertaining to the late fee. We had discussed this at our last board meeting as well.
We had lowered the late fee from 7% to 10, or excuse me, from 10% to 7%.
And then I will entertain a motion to approve this, or actually not approve this, we need to read this by title only.
I'll make a motion to first reading by title only.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Keck,
Aye.
Alderman Rozalski,
Aye.
Alderman Kreitz,
Aye.
and Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Ms. Eaton, will you please read by title only?
An ordinance amending chapter 52 pertaining to late fees, section 52.09, rates and late fees, paragraph B.
I will entertain a motion to, or not a motion, but to read by title only for the second reading.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
And a roll call vote for that one, please.
Alderman Rozalski,
Aye.
Alderman Kreitz,
Aye.
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
and Alderman Keck.
Aye.
Ms. Eaton, will you please read this title again?
An ordinance amending chapter 52 pertaining to late fees, section 52.09, rates and late fees, paragraph B.
I I will entertain a motion to approve this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
May I please get a roll call vote for that as well?
Alderman Price,
Aye.
Alderman Reed,
Aye.
Alderman Keck,
Aye.
and Alderman Rozowski.
Aye.
Now we will read our ordinance amending chapter 131.005 pertaining to tobacco use. Tobacco minor ordinance. Entertain a motion for the first reading.
I make a motion for first reading by title only.
Second.
Eaton, could you please do a roll call?
Alderman Price,
Aye.
Alderman Reed,
Aye.
Alderman Keck,
Aye.
and Alderman Rozowski.
Aye.
Missy, could you please read by title only, please?
An ordinance amending chapter 131 pertaining offenses against public health, section 131.005, tobacco, minors, misrepresentation of age.
And I will, can I please get a, vote for, motion for second reading?
So moved.
Can I ask a question on this one?
Yes, please.
How many of you guys have served in the military?
Thank you.
18 years old, you can go off and fight for your country. That's why they changed the voting laws years ago. Just because the feds make it 21 to smoke, you're gonna tell anybody that's 18 years old and go sign up for the military can't smoke a cigarette, have a chewing tobacco? So some of our boys come home on leave, 18, 19, 20 years old, been in a war,
They come from their casket.
and they're walking down the street smoking a cigarette, relaxing. The cop rolls by and sees them, and can cite them, but yet they've already been in a war.
In our small town, really.
I agree with that.
Just
Just because the feds make it 21, don't mean we gotta make it 21.
My kid's serving right now.
I mean, what's the goal? Are we gonna arrest them?
No,
Well, I mean,
And if you pass it and say, well, our officers ain't gonna do this, they're not gonna single them out, then why even have it on the books?
Don't we have better things to do? Like our math, like Louisiana, like the drugs?
Yeah, amen.
Wait until 20 your kids that.
it's one thing when you have a law on the books, it's one thing when you use it to harass people. Color law, I think it's called.
No.
I don't care. I don't need to know technical terms. I'm not up here. I don't need to know technical terms.
Isn't this
whenever-
ordinance for, to protect the businesses from a suit for, minors just coming in and buying
They have insurance.
If
Yeah,
that-
well,
that's-
it's-
We don't need our
The-
police force,
the people
their
who-
law.
Places in this town, they already enforce the 21.
So,
That's your responsibility.
yeah, do you guys understand?
We have to protect the businesses.
I would have been arrested when I was 16.
Sandy, you were gonna.
Right, because you said, yeah, you're 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
Right.
21 to buy,
Okay, we're
that's
gonna
for the
get-
government,
Right.
they got license.
And that's
That don't mean
fine.
they can't possess it.
We're gonna go ahead and we're going to bring it back to Ed and let him look at what's moving. Fair enough? Okay, we will motion to table this to our next meeting, to allow time to actually find out if this is what the really state statute is.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Second.
All in favor, or do I? All in favor?
Aye.
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 So we will table this until next month. now we will move forward to new business, which is
Old business board. Old business. Recap them.
oh, that's right, you're on here. So you wanted to go over,
Just kind of recap from the last meeting, I'm just gonna so this is regarding the allegations on the PD. I met with Chief on October 20th regarding these allegations against Winfield PD. I asked Chief the background process for his officers. I was told that officers are given a background, which includes checking with previous employers, professional references, personal references, and post peace officer standards and training. I specifically asked about Sergeant Britton and his references and was told that all his references came back with positive reviews. Let me finish. He had never been charged criminally and there was no actions against him. He had a valid unencumbered post. Chief and I discussed the allegations. Chief stated in order for him to investigate these allegations, he's going to need more information, at least dates and times from the complainants. I gave Ms. Crosby this information and attempted to set up a meeting with her. I have all of our correspondence
I do too.
here. I gave Ms. Crosby this information and attempted to set up a meeting with her, myself, and Chief, so he could better explain the process. Chief and I made our schedule available based on what works best for Ms. Crosby. She did not want to meet at City Hall as suggested, but asked to meet outside behind Cook's at 7 p.m. It was raining in the low 40s that evening, and I explained that this was not a 5-minute conversation. I was already sick, and I explained that I have made myself available. And if I didn't hear from her, then I would not be going anywhere that evening. Needless to say, we did not meet, and I have not been asked to set up another meeting.
You haven't heard from me again.
For an investigation to happen, the chief needs information to research these claims, providing dates, time frames, and even names, although not required. This would allow chief to do his due diligence. We can ask the question, was a policy broke, was an illegal act committed? The board nor the chief can take action without having some point of reference. It's been stated on social media and out in the public that we are ignoring the situation. That is clearly inaccurate and is an opinion of certain individuals, not a fact. Regarding our police uniforms, it was brought to the board's attention that the current police officer uniforms create fear and intimidation for some residents. I decided to look into this. I contacted Troy, St. Peter's, Ellsbury, O'Fallon, and Springfield, Missouri departments. All departments stated most of their officers prefer the vest versus the belts or the shirts with the built-in protective gear. When asked why, I was told that the vests eliminate the weight of all the items they wear on their belts and allows them to evenly distribute that. I asked about the shirts with the protective gear built in, and I was told that officers still prefer the vest as the others held in too much heat and officers had suffered from heat exhaustion in extreme weathers. In a study from University of Wisconsin, Claire, article by Judy Bartholomew, November of 2018, load-bearing vest versus duty belt, Dr. Jeff Janot, professor of kinesiology, did a 6-month study. What he found was even though the vests weigh more, the use of them decreases hip, lower back, and strain on the back and lumbar because the vests allow more distribution of weight. The study also took note that officers spent a great deal of time in vehicles. The vest allowed them to sit in a normal position as opposed to a curved forward position due to belts. A police officer's uniforms need to be functional. Vests are standard uniform in law enforcement and will continue to be in Winfield. Other topics, this is what I'm recommending and working on. I would like to have one universal form and complaint bills for complainants to fill out which department it goes to. Along with the form, the complainant will be given an envelope to put their complaint in a sealed envelope. The chain is as follows. All complaints need to be delivered to City Hall in a sealed envelope addressed to the correct party. PD complaints go to the chief of police. Administration complaints go to the city manager or the deputy clerk. And public works complaints will go to the public works director. That's something that I'm going to talk to my board about. I think it would keep the separation. So that's kind of a recap from last board
There's
meeting.
about one thing that's gonna keep the separation, but go ahead.
Is what I'm suggesting.
I understand.
So, that's kind of just
Is
a
this
recap.
discussion with your board gonna occur now or at another meeting that we're gonna be privileged to?
I mean, this is the first the board has heard of the suggestion as far as the complaint.
How about the allegations again, because everybody said nobody had any knowledge of those.
How about the color of the
No, hold on
vest?
for a
Black.
second, please. This is, nobody had any knowledge of Sergeant Britton's past until last meeting.
I was not aware.
Okay,
I
well,
sent it to you in a
I-
Facebook message in
I've got
August.
that.
You've never sent me a
Are
Facebook
you
message in my life.
kidding me? I have the proof and so does she.
And I have direct quotes from
You're
Rochelle
never a
Eaton,
concerned
Was that not
citizen. You
actionable?
see everything. Those were out.
direct quotes,
No, they
direct
weren't.
quotes, no, they're not, they're
Court
federal court
judgment.
cases. And you guys
Those
don't
are
wanna see it, and
rulings.
that's fine, but we've had
Those
cops
were
fired for
rulings.
shit
No.
around here.
FBI report. I have it right here.
I had 2 Lincoln Counties sitting in front of my house for 2 days because he came to my, don't play with me on this. You all are ate up.
2 days ago,
Brenda.
after I turned in my report.
No, there's no Brenda in this.
She's sitting at the top of my street.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah.
No, she really doesn't. This is ridiculous.
You're not being harassed yet.
And you're gonna say I'm not gonna give you names so that what, he can go show up at their house and beat them up again?
He refused to take reports. Why did I have it on voicemail, please?
One more outburst, and I'm sorry, ma'am. You're gonna have to leave. I'm sorry. I don't want you to, but just please.
Single me out again.
The information
After I
was already
just got
there.
allowed back in here.
Well, and you can stay here, honey, please.
The information was there. Rochelle Eaton has direct knowledge. I don't know if you read the message, but I have the printout of that too.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. I'm referring to the printout that you gave.
I'm
us
referring to the
last
fact I
morning.
have the email where you say you have no knowledge, the board had no knowledge till that night.
I
I'm
didn't
tired
have
of being
knowledge.
lied to. Do you understand that? And
So,
every time I give y'all a warning, then I go to the next step legally.
I got a question for you.
We really don't need Chief Weidman to investigate. It's already been done by Ken Foley by the post certification.
So,
Nothing has been provided.
He should have been
before.
suspended, with pay even, stuck in the
Yes,
office until it
something was
was settled.
provided to the
Y'all
mayor.
handled it miserably.
so can I ask a question to you and to the chief? So when you call a previous department, can they tell you, this person worked here, we fired them for this reason? Because in any other industry, a previous employer cannot say something bad and keep you
He
from
was
getting another
first,
job,
that's right.
or else you can turn around and sue them. Because anybody can go to Ellsbury, talk to the chief, the
There
old
you
mayors,
go.
anybody, and find out why Britton is no longer there. That they did not legally tell another employer why he was released or what he did, or else they can be sued. Because they kept somebody from getting employment. So, he was fired for something, he was let go for a reason, but they cannot
Brutality.
tell those reasons to another employer, potential employer.
The same things we were accusing here.
So if he was never put on a list to lose his accreditation as a police officer, nobody will ever know because he was released as his punishment.
Right,
But
unless
they
it's
can't tell
recorded,
the next police
the
department
post.
why, because he was not put on his do not employ list as a police officer.
They don't report them to the post, that way they can bounce to the next town.
Mhm.
And they don't have any bad publicity.
Like doctors.
Y'all are gonna have some bad publicity, let me tell ya.
School superintendents, all of them, same thing.
So, getting back to where we were at with you, Ms. Roberts. Now, with your, comments that you had made at the end, how you wanted to put this in the envelope, you want to address it.
You guys want to?
Let me know what you think to address.
So, like I said, what I'm kind of looking for is a universal complaint form, but at the top of the form, it would specify which department it goes to. And when somebody comes in to fill out a complaint, if they're wanting to fill out a complaint for the PD, they would check the PD box. It would go in a sealed envelope and it would go directly to that department head. Nobody else would have access to it, nobody can open up that envelope. If it's regarding the PD, it would go to the chief. If it's administration complaints, it would go to the deputy clerk of the city manager, and if it's a public works complaint, it would go to the public works director.
I'll be nice. I sat down with Chief Weidman before the last meeting, and in walks Sergeant Britton in the next room. I can hear him in there rustling around. I did have more to say that day. I didn't feel comfortable.
And I'm hoping to end up that meeting again.
Okay. And this is the first meeting I haven't seen him at, but I know everything will go right back to him.
And you guys got evidence of him writing wrong ordinance violations also. from last year when I brought it
We're
up.
on one subject, please.
Ignore
If you
that
guys
too.
like this idea, we can get these forms created and we can approve it at the next board meeting. But then separate every department complaint
And seal this.
and seal it.
Can I make a suggestion on that? Make the forms available online so that they can print them at home and, fill them out at home and
Very good.
come in, to come and get them.
They're still gonna know who you are.
Come on.
Yeah, they will.
Mhm.
All right.
He'll stick it on people's heads, he doesn't screw that.
That's everything I have.
All
He'd
right,
like
so
tickets
moving forward
and
to
then
new
not turn 'em in.
business, we're gonna.
And then you go by and visit
go
people.
over the
Yeah, I'm
water-
not shitting you, dude.
We're gonna go over the water department
No, don't
report,
worry.
please.
Thank you.
So service sold, 9/26/22 billing period was $68,048.42. Payments received, $63,005.90. We collected $1,686.32 in late fees, $217.70 in reconnect fees, and $25 in NSS fees. We had 4 residential meter deposits for the month, and we reported 1 street light that was out, which was at Whiteside and Miller Street.
Thank you. Okay, and we will move forward to the TV monthly report. Chief Drucker.
The fiscal year 2023 local law enforcement block grant through the Department of Public Safety application process is open. I'll be starting on completing that application. Also, the fiscal year 23 American Rescue Plan Act, state and local fiscal recovery funds, peace officers grant application process is open. I'll be starting on that as well. We have 2 officers that are finishing their last online training course for the year, and all officers will be in compliance with post-annual training requirements. Emergency equipment issue with car 103, which is taking the car offline, has been corrected. Emergency controllers had to be replaced in that. Car 104 was having starting issues. It was determined the battery had a dead cell, and was replaced under warranty. Last year, I started the process of returning equipment loan to this agency from the Department of Defense under the 1033 program. Recently, all the shotguns that we had on loan were transferred upon DOD request to another agency in Missouri. The 1911 handguns were returned to the Department of Defense in Anniston, Alabama. Once that transfer was approved, and I'm still waiting to hear from DOD in reference to the return of rifles. Officer Brown and K9 Don have already made several narcotics-related cases since being certified for narcotics protection. Item C's on those cases include methamphetamine, fentanyl, psilocybin mushrooms, as well as an illegal firearm. We did 4 trunk or treat events and handed out candy on Halloween, and that all went well.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Judy, reports report?
Last week I attended the MRWA conference, and I'm still taking classes towards my wastewater certification. All our new street signs are finally up. We are gearing up for all our Christmas, and all our salt has been delivered to our system.
All right, thank you. All right, and then next on our list is Mr. Herb Crosby. You're up, sir.
I'm here to talk about our city manager. I think, everybody here is clever. I had a demonstration of what clever was when I was a young man. I thought it was quite clever, and my little brother had, lots of dimes and I had nickels. And I convinced him that my nickels were worth more because they were bigger and larger than his dimes and traded for them. And learned how to double my money. But as proud as I was of that, when I took that to my parents and grandparents, I was given a bit of a lecture about never taking advantage of people like that. That clever is the currency of common man. There's something higher to aspire to. there are ethical and moral obligations that come with serving on this board. And there are fiduciary obligations as well. Well, what's a fiduciary? That's somebody that has to act in trust for another person. They have to spend money as if they were spending it for themselves. They have to consider the citizens' money, the people's money, the city's money, when they make these decisions. And this is something that's implicit in the oath that you take. I've made a number of sunshine requests. On October 31st, I requested the minutes of the closed meeting of August 2nd. This should have been readily available. I'm being told I can't have that until December 16th. We've asked for body cam footage for Officer Britton. And you tell us that we don't have proof of anything when you people have the proof in your hands, but you're not releasing it. On November 1st, I requested Department of Defense records for the Humvee and the M16s. The Humvee, as I understand it, was given by the Department of Defense. And when they give that stuff, it's more or less a lease, as I think Chief Weidman knows. It's returned in the 1911s to the Anderson
Certain
Miners
items,
Department.
certain items have different disposal processes.
Right. Well, as I understand it, when Officer Lovelace was working for the department, he was involved in a 100-mile-an-hour crash that totaled one of our cruisers. And work was done on that. And instead of paying the bill, the work was done by Speedy Specialties. We've heard this from the owner of that place there. And then in order to pay for those repairs, that Humvee was transferred to him. Outside of the DOD rules, I do believe. That has also been I've been told I will not receive till December 16th. On January 11th, 2016, and December 7th, 2017, those are the only two records of minutes of the aldermanic meetings. Everything else seems to have just stopped in 2015. And I do believe it's the city manager / city clerk's responsibility to post those things promptly, let's say 30 days, 3 times as long as we get on a demand order. But what I noticed here is after I gave the presentation on the sunshine law, that a lot of aspects of these meetings have changed. You guys are complying with the ordinances, the state ordinances on that. We had a meeting down at the city park, and Alderman Roskowski and Alderman Kritz were there. We got some interesting things there. For instance, Robin said that Roger's Rules of Order were just guidelines. And she also said that Rochelle said that we can ease into these requirements. And so I have you on tape and video, that we can ease into the requirements of the sunshine law. By Rochelle.
I was told that Robert's Rule of Order is a guideline to follow, and that we can adjust
Ease
it the way.
into the rules.
I don't know the
Holding meetings.
terminology, but if you said I said that, I'll go with it.
It's the real problem. Just like Officer Britton has a past that makes you wonder why in the world you gave that man that kind of responsibility, so does Rochelle Eaton, Rochelle Stoner, Rochelle Golden. Let's see here. First case, 11/1/2022, that's the date filed, just a few days ago, pending. Jefferson Capital Systems LLC versus Rochelle. 11/4, even less time there. There's a judgment entered for $6,175.31. And it was filed the same date that you appointed her city manager. American Express National Bank versus Rochelle Eaton, $5,105.05. Judgment entered May 31st, 2022. Breach of contract. Department of Revenue versus Rochelle Eaton. This is back in 2014. There was an income tax lien. Advanced payday loan versus Rochelle Stoner. 2003, 2004. Another advanced payday loan versus Rochelle Stoner. State versus Stoner. Record of conviction issued, guilty plea. July 17th, 2006. Notice of failure to appear, fax. Barbara Lovelace versus Rochelle Eaton. Rent. The judgment and bench trial was $1,677.42, along with 9% interest for the time it took for all of this to come down. They took 3 years. And this Rochelle M. Golden shares the same birthday, shares the same address there, but she sure goes by a lot of aliases. And almost every one of those indicates somebody you wouldn't attribute knowledge of fiduciary responsibilities to. Almost every one of these has to do with money owed. Where do you get these people from? I yield the floor.
Thank you, sir. All right. Next we have up is Ms. Angela Dye for Brian Britton.
I actually signed up for 5 different topics.
Yes, ma'am.
So Britton first.
Yes, please. Or you can put them in any order you want to. It's completely up to you.
Well, I actually have Robin first. So, back in 2016, Robin stole my Alderman sign from a public easement. Filed a report back in 2016. I actually had my 911 call to verify that. Asked for that report in July, and then Matt showed up to my house to tell me that that report had been destroyed. Right after, just this past July, I requested it. So I went ahead and I wrote out another report, since they want to destroy reports, which I was told by the city manager that Chief Weidman destroyed that report. Don't know if that's true or not. I actually asked for the date of disposal. You sent me an email saying that you had no such date. Anyway, I went ahead and rewrote that report, stuck it in with some sunshine requests when I was barred from coming into City Hall due to our temporary restraining order. And now there's a current investigation on said report. I'll go ahead and read that since I have my 3 minutes, just so that the public knows that this is what happens to you when you decide to run against any of these people that are sitting up here. And I will say that I've done my research with the election board, and for the past, 5-6 years, I think since Robota was in 15 when you harassed her, I was in 16, so I'm pretty sure since 2017 or 18, all of your seats go unopposed, as we would like to call it, because you guys have harassed enough people to to keep your little shenanigans going on up here. All you guys do is play musical chairs or appoint to the next position. So on March 17th, 2016, I was running for Alderman Ward 2 open seat here in the city of Winfield. On this day, early morning hours, I was driving my two children, Talon and Kylie Burkemper, to school. When we approached the end of Highland Drive to the corner of Harry's Way South Side, I noticed that one of my campaign signs, Angela Dye for Alderman Ward 2, that I had placed onto an easement where other campaign signs were placed, was gone, while other campaign signs remained. I took my children to school and then focused on where my sign had went. At this time, the city clerk, Rochelle Eaton, and Robin Christ were harassing me to the extreme as they did not want me in office. I decided to start with Robin Christ. At approximately 9 to 9:15 a.m. on that day, I arrived at Robin's home in Darla Estates. I rang the doorbell. Robin answered her door. Didn't you?
No, I was already outside, but go ahead, I'll let you finish your version.
I explained to her the situation, my political campaign sign being missing from the easement at Harry's Way and Highland Road. She then replied I took it in at City Hall. I then stated you have no authority to take or steal my political campaign sign as an act of current alderwoman. She then replied, I most certainly do. The city of Winfield has given me the caretaking rights on that easement. I was furious and felt bullied and singled out. I left her home and made a 1-minute drive to the City Hall to retrieve my $50 campaign sign. When I arrived, I was met at the doorway entrance by then City Clerk Rochelle Eaton. I explained to her my warning, Robin's statements, and admissions of theft, and the federal crime of Robin stealing my campaign sign and physically walking inside the City Hall as an act of alderwoman and handing the said sign over to Rochelle Eaton. I was told by Ms. Eaton that my stolen political campaign sign was in the back of her personal vehicle and that she would retrieve it. At that time, Chief of Police Charles Hobby came up to the main floor of the City Hall from the police department downstairs. He intervened because I was crying and in hysterics of his crime. Chief Hobby was present when Michelle went outside and brought my sign back inside the City Hall and handed it to me. I then requested Chief Hobby to my residence so that I could write a report of the federal crime and prosecute. He did just that. He followed me to my home with the police report paperwork and I filled it out. He signed it, I signed it, and he left with the paperwork to turn into the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department for proper prosecution, as far as I was concerned. I never heard another thing until July 2022, 15th day, from Rochelle Eaton, now City Administrator. As Rochelle, I, my Uncle Doug Chastain, one of the cops, and my cousin Charles sat outside of the City Hall, which just this past July, at 6:45 p.m., awaiting the 7 p.m. BOA meeting. Ms. Eaton was sitting next to me on the bench, sharing a cigarette and talking amongst myself and my family. Right before we got up to go inside of the meeting, Ms. Eaton whispered in my ear, my left ear, as she was sitting to my left side, what Robin did with your sign was a felony. She stood up, walked inside, and I followed. I was confused as to why she just brought this up. You want to shake your head?
Yeah, I do.
You think this is funny, what you've done to me and my family?
I don't
Do
think
you
it's
not
funny at
remember
all.
sitting outside my house on 12/12/20 when I tried to commit suicide and you sat outside by fucking
I was
my
actually
my
at Lincoln
door
Ozarks
and
that
watched
weekend
me?
celebrating my
Oh,
husband's
you already
50th
know all
birthday.
about this. You were there. Scott Burkemper already signed a complaint. Let's not go there yet. That's next.
You know, Angie,
Right before we got up to go inside to the meeting, she whispered in my ear. During that July 15th, 2022 BOA meeting, Chief Weidman, along with other officers and a K-9 were present. At the end of that recorded meeting, Robin admitted in front of the board, Ms. Eaton, and the entire citizens that were sitting here, there's still a lot here. At the end of that recorded meeting, Robin admitted in front of the board, Ms. Eaton, the entire police department, and citizens that yes, she did take my campaign sign. I left the meeting prematurely due to the anger I felt, again scared of the harassment coming due to this admission. When I returned home, I contacted 911 to make a report because I was again scared of the harassment I knew was to follow, just like 2016. As I was waiting for an officer to arrive at my home, my uncle and cousin who were at the meeting came to my house to bring me my wallet, and I had left at the meeting because I left such a hurried rush. I contacted Ms. Eaton about the delay of the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department, and then she directed me to call the non-emergency number and send Winfield Police Department. 4 hours later, Chief Weidman of Winfield Police Department showed up at my home, or was it Josh Brown? I'm really not sure. This said, the above stated officer request was then reported back to the administrator. Per her phone conversation, she me the next morning. This is a violation of my HIPAA laws and civil rights of personal information to a government official not incorporated as a member of our police force. On July, I went to the City Hall and returned my exact sanction request requesting that March 17th, 2016 police report. Actually, I requested all of my police reports dating back to January 1st. I was then told by another officer the evening of July 22, they just disposed of your police report. We all know that was Matt, and Matt has already told me that you guys have told him not to speak to me, giving him an order, and he told you could fuck off. Those were his words. That you guys cannot tell him not to speak to me as a citizen. So I guess if we're not up there, we can't be friends with the police officers in this town. I was astonished, furious, scared. Once again, the corruption in this town runs deep. I waited until the next morning of July to text Ms. Eaton and ask her if this disposal of my personal police report reporting a federal crime had indeed been disposed of. She replied, "You're correct." She explained to me on a personal phone call that Chief Weidman has made the authoritative decision to destroy my police report against this federal crime after I asked for it, that she had nothing to do with it, and then again went to the City Hall with yet another sunshine request, requesting the date of disposal. She sent me an email on that. I then, 2 days later, more like 9, received an email from Chief Weidman stating he had no date of disposal for that 3/17/16 report. Along with an explanation of all my other requests, I gave copies of all my sunshine requests, correspondence, etc. regarding the situation and countless others. What Chief Weidman has done is criminal, and I'll say that to you. You guys already stalked me. I'm not scared of you anymore. Since July, I and my family have been harassed, followed, etc. by Chief Brian Weidman and Britton. Chief Weidman takes his orders from city administrator. There is no separation between City Hall government and the city police department. I have video of said corruption between Chief Weidman and city administrator. I had to install cameras in my car, surveillance all around my home, extra locks on my entryway doors and garages. And let me tell you this, Mr. City Attorney, I am a single mom with a 2-year-old who just lost my fiance 2 years ago to a fentanyl overdose. I am all alone, and they all know it. Due to this harassment of Chief Weidman, Brian Britton Stone, and Rochelle Eaton, and the board, we need an open investigation of Sergeant Britton's policing records, Chief Brian Weidman, Rochelle Eaton, and her influence on Winfield Police Department, the mayor, Sean Garver, BOA President, Robin Kreis. I request on the ballot and appointed by us, citizens investigator, not Joel Fan, us. As this harassment, it only begins with me, and it does not end with me. We have multiple victims. And as far as on 12/12/20, 3 months after my fiance passed away, you and city manager did pull across the street. I talked to her about it. I am literally addressed. Scott Burkhammer was at my home.
I don't even know
Really?
who these people are you're talking about.
You don't even know the people I'm talking about.
I don't know Scott
You're so
Burkhammer.
full of shit. You know what?
Okay,
No.
Okay, now that you've gotten to give your version of the story, let me tell you the version of the story. The
You
truth.
better watch what you say.
Oh, I
because
don't
you're under
care. I will
investigation.
say, that's fine. You know Angie as well
You
as
just showed up to
everybody
court
in this
against
room.
me 3 times in 2 months.
Please.
Did you not show up to court against me?
I was there supporting a friend, just like they were there supporting you.
No. This is
We didn't
the
come in
thing.
an official capacity.
I'm done talking to you.
Okay,
Next,
What's the probative value of the city
I'll go ahead
administration
and get on
showing up?
Britain. I'll take the
No,
rest.
I'd like to be able to speak
I
on
have
my
nothing,
behalf
no,
because I'm
you-
tired of having
You
false
can put it on
accusations.
your website.
That's why we have
No.
video. Go ahead, Mr. Tickmeyer.
Can I speak?
I've been awfully deep in this bullshit show. And I'll bring this up, so I suggest all of you, if you
I will talk.
plan on lying about this shit, I have proof about things, okay?
You don't know what you got yourself into, Mr. Attorney. You have no idea.
There's a long line. Go ahead, Mr. Tickmeyer.
All right, when she ran, that was my wife that ran against her.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
She ran against her,
and they coerced my wife into running. Robin Kreitz, Rochelle, all of them talked to my wife and coerced her into running. She really didn't want to, but she, okay, you know, she'd been on the board 6 years before. She ran. Okay, they went out, she said, well, I'm not gonna buy any signs. They went out and bought all the signs. Robin, obviously, I'm almost certain, Robin bought, she did it, Rochelle, they were all involved in this, buying those signs, and backing my wife, only because they did not want that lady in there. They used my wife, and that's a fact. That's a fact, and she did it right.
Nobody's scared anymore. We're all done.
I'll point my finger.
We're all done.
You don't scare me, woman.
Oh, you don't scare me.
You lie. You do nothing but lie.
Correct.
That's what video's good for.
You wanna face my wife and tell her that, Robin?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you will, because you never stop.
She lies well. Rolls right off.
Awful good, she would be here speaking for
She's
her.
the most
Put this meeting
duplicitous
back
person
in
up
order,
there.
please.
All of them, they all did.
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess because this is getting out of control. I'm so sorry. And we will come back to you, sweetheart, and you will get your opportunity to talk.
Well,
Thanks for calling me, sweetheart.
there is something to this, trust me.
Yeah, there's not a
I'll
bunch
get
of
my wife
bullshit.
to say,
I
she's
know.
bad health, she would be here and say,
Listen,
she is the part of it, right there.
5-minute recess. Yes, please.
Yeah, they all used her.
Yep.
Fred.